Ahoy there. Today on the Red Sea, Reddit, what is your most WTF customer service experience? I'm from New Hampshire. When I was going to college in Florida, I had a gas station cashier refuse to sell me cigarettes because I showed her my ID and she did not believe that New Hampshire was a state. I have been refused alcohol in NC because my New York license was too complicated. The lady thought that because it had all the crazy holograms on it, that it was a fake. So the past weekend we went to a restaurant for dinner with my GF and her friends for her birthday. We had about 10 people and had about 5 different tabs which all included an 18% minimum tip. The service was terrible. The server was incredibly rude and would always respond with some kind of sarcasm when we asked questions about the menu. He took the wrong drink orders twice and blamed us for getting them wrong. Brought all the apps and entrees at the same time and got upset when we said we didn't want the apps anymore. My friend paid in cash, and when he brought back change, there was no receipt. She was expecting to see $5 and some change back. When the server came back there was no receipt and only $4 and change there. She asked him to see the receipt to see if she had miscalculated cause she expected $5 and then some back. Instead of saying something along the lines of "I'll go check" or something accommodating like that, the dude got irritated and said that he threw away the receipt and reached for his wallet and said, "How about I just give you $1 if you want it that bad?" That pissed us all off, so we didn't leave any extra tip. I wrote down "nope" on my receipt in the additional tip line. When I went to use the men's room before leaving, he tapped my shoulder as I was washing my hands and goes, "You think I'm pretty funny with that tip, don't you? Why don't we step outside so I can show you how funny I can be?" I'm like, WTF. Called the manager over and told him her server wanted to fight me cause I didn't tip him. Explained the whole situation to her while the dude was just eye-ducking me the whole time. Other servers had to calm him down cause he kept trying to interrupt me when I was talking to the manager. I declined all their gift cards cause I don't wanna come back to a place where the staff is gonna shank me. To sum it up, malarkey service at restaurant. No tip for server. Dude follows me to the bathroom and wants to fight me to earn that tip. Maybe 10 years back, a new Mountain Mike's pizzeria opened in my town. Since it's a really small town, my family got excited for a new restaurant. So we went, and just a few days after they opened, the 4 of us sat down and were helped right away. Ordered a large pepperoni pizza and drinks. Pretty simple. Our drinks come in a timely fashion. Our pizza did not. We waited. Were generally all pretty patient and understanding. For an hour before we snagged a server to ask about our pizza. There were very few people in the restaurant, and most of the servers were sort of milling around, sweeping and wiping clean tables and other busy work. The guy apologized for the wait and said he'd go check on it for us. He came back out and said they were very sorry, but it would be another 30 minutes on the pizza. No explanation. But we figured maybe they'd forgotten to put it in. We gave them the benefit of the doubt since they'd just opened. We waited another 45 minutes and no pizza came. Called a server again. He told us he was very sorry and he would go check on that for us. He came back out with a black disc that was not even recognizable as a pizza. It was a giant charcoal brick. Parts of it were actually smoking. He put it on the table and told us to enjoy our pizza and that they were sorry again about the wait, but that they forgot it in the oven the first time we ordered it. So my dad finally had enough and very politely told the guy thanks but no thanks. We would not be eating this pizza and we would probably not be returning unless we heard that their service had improved. We stood up to leave and the guy bolted for the back room. Out came the manager. He asked us what the problem was. My dad told him that we waited nearly 2 hours to be served a pizza that had been in the oven for just as long. He showed it to the manager. It was literally inedible. The manager shrugged and said, "I do not see anything wrong here, sir, except that you're trying to leave without paying for your meal." The manager ordered employees to stand at every exit to ensure that we could not leave. My dad still refused to pay and suggested that the manager let us leave or he would call the police. So the manager called the cops, saying there was an indignant customer in the restaurant. The cops showed up and asked what the problem is. Manager said we would not pay for our pizza. My dad said the manager would not let us leave, but the guy denied it. Cops scoffed at the manager, walked us out of the restaurant, and we have never eaten there since. Last weekend I went to the beach with my friend. We had booked a hotel room with 2 queen beds. For whatever reason, there was an administrative error and the hotel had forgotten to reserve our room. We get there and there are no rooms with 2 beds left. The front desk agent was very apologetic and offered us an extra room at no charge because they ducked up until the owner of the place moseyed on in and instead said, "No, if you want 2 rooms, "You're going to pay for 2 rooms," and asked us why we couldn't not just sleep together in a king bed, which is not really his business, and if we wanted to share a bed we would have booked a room with 1 bed instead of specifically booking a room with 2. If we had known they were out of rooms, we would have gone somewhere else. At that point he insisted on us staying in 1 room with a cot, which I said was bull malarkey because one of us is sleeping on a cot, and it's not something we agreed to pay for. Eventually, after 2 hours of arguing, he ducked off and his son, who is the part owner and the one who suggested giving us 2 rooms for the cost of 1 in the first place, let us have 2 rooms. His dad is clearly in the wrong ducking business. Getting away from restaurants. Last year I was going trough the self-checkout at Kroger late one night. There were a few other people that said self-checkout, but it was far from busy. I attempted to scan an item that was on clearance, and it brings up the wait for attendant message. I see the kid working the section talking to another coworker about 20 feet away. The hand modules they use have an ignore function, so they do not have to come over every time someone does not know how to use the machines. 95% of the time, dude hits the ignore button. I know it wasn't gonna scan without his approval, so I hit the call attendant button. He presses ignore again. This happens 8 times. When I finally went over to ask him for help, he bolted to the back before I could catch him. I was not pissed, just annoyed. So I left the self-check to go get in a regular line. Just so happened that a manager was walking by and asked if I was having issues. Since I was leaving self-checkout, I told her what had happened and she was furious. Never saw that kid at Kroger again. 20 years ago, my fiance and I drove to Vegas for the weekend. We live near LA, so it was about a 5-hour drive. Late Monday night, on the way back to LA, we stopped at the state line to get a bite to eat. In those days there were just the 2 casinos on either side of the highway, and not the mini metropolis that is there now. The casino was almost completely empty, and the casino restaurant was deserted, except for us. The place had a weird airplanes and clowns theme, was way too brightly lit, and the colors were bright orange and yellow. It was hideous, like a McDonald's, but without the charm. Being so empty, late at night, being the state line, being so nauseatingly decorated, we were assigned to a meal cut below Denny's. We slid into a plastic orange booth that might have come out of a Taco Bell. The server came over promptly. It was like he just appeared out of thin air. He handed us the menu, but announced that they had a special seafood, steak, whatever, I forget, but it sounded good, and it was half the cost of the highest priced item on the menu. So we went with it. The first thing to arrive was the Caesar salad, only instead of bringing out salads on plates, the waiter brought out a cart and parked it at our table. He then proceeded to handcraft the Caesar dressing right there, a little anchovy. He asked us first, mustard, and whatever the duck else, Worcestershire, lemon, garlic, capers, but it was like the Benihana of Caesar salad right there. Chop, chop, wham, bam, and it was perfect. I mean, perfect. The anchovy was just strong enough, but not overpowering. Everything else was in balance. The tartness of the capers, the sour of the lemon, all working together like a goddamn chamber orchestra. It was nothing less than amazing. Best Caesar salad I have ever had. Before Orson's, the food came pretty quickly, and it was expertly prepared. It was ducking exquisite. And you know how servers in already empty restaurants are sometimes like ghosts? You just never see them. This guy was a god among waiters. He knew exactly when to show up. Not too much, not too little, just at the right times. Well, the food was incredible, and as the waiter cleared the table, he suggested dessert. I always need coffee, so a little dessert sounded good, and the food had been so good we figured how the hell could we miss it. It's a little hazy, but we ordered some sort of peaches and ice cream dessert. The waiter said he was going to need some help with this one, and he disappeared, only to return with another cart and a woman he introduced as his manager. They set to whipping up a storm on the cart. Evidently they had to make the syrup for the peaches right there with whiskey and whatnot. They created a couple of huge fireballs that went whoosh. Yeah. And the ice cream had to be done just so it was a ducking spectacle. It was perfect. The perfect balance of warmth, a hint of alcohol, the tender juicy peaches and the sweet cold ice cream. Damn. Naturally the coffee was outstanding as well, rich, black, and smooth. Then the bill came. You know how I said the special was half the price? The total bill, with dessert, salad and meal, for 2 of us was less than $20. Less than $20. Best goddamn meal I have ever had. The setting was hideous. The expectations were low, but the service was excellent. The food was amazing, and the price was downright shocking. If I recall correctly, we gave him a $20 tip, too. It was not enough, But hey, just over 100%. And I did not have too much money in those days. I have gone back and looked for the restaurant. But it's gone now. They have built and rebuilt the places so much. Nothing's recognizable. And to be honest, I'm not sure which side of the highway we were on. I'll never forget that god-awful decor, though. Had a waiter spill a $100 bottle of wine. First and last time in my life I ever paid that much for a bottle of wine. All over my dinner. He refused to replace either. After I did not tip him, he literally chased me out of the restaurant and physically threatened me for his tip. He had to be restrained by the manager. I was at an awesome BBQ place in Fort Worth with a bunch of friends. Our server was a bit goofy. He was funny, really nice, but kind of distant. He just seemed like he did not seem suited to waiting tables. He got our drinks and orders wrong. But it was hard to be upset. The WTF moment was not bad or good. It was just weird. He had a huge red beard. And I said, "Dude, your beard is awesome." He then said, "Thanks. My neighbor has one just like it. Some people think has my dad. But has not my dad. I have met my dad." Then he just walked away without saying anything. At a Mexican food restaurant with a girl I'm getting to know. It was not a date. Really. It was just like hanging out and getting to know each other, and we decided to go grab a quick bite. Anyways, I have kind of gotten into this horrible habit of only paying with my debit card and never having cash on me. As you probably know, a lot of times when you pay using debit/credit over a certain amount, I believe it's $5 or $10, places have you sign a receipt that they keep. The receipt the guy at this place handed me had a place to leave a tip. Since I have been to this place a couple of times before, I know how the service works here. You order at the register, go and sit down, they call your number, and then you go up and receive your food. So I did not leave a tip. I'll tip at this place/places like this if I order something specially made or something with extra toppings on it and they do not charge me, but other than that, I really do not see the need to tip. They are not bringing your food to you. They are not doing anything out of their way. They are not bussing tables. There's simply no need to tip. Anyways, I do not leave a tip and the guy just says, "Wow, big spender here." I look up at him and I'm like, what? Because at this point, I honestly have no idea what he's talking about. It did not even register in my mind that he could possibly be upset that I did not tip, because he's doing nothing to warrant a tip. He just stands there and takes orders and calls them out. A job that he is paid an appropriate wage to do with no extra effort needed to be put in. It'd be the same as tipping someone working a register in a grocery store or at a McDonald's. Well, back on topic. The guy ignores me and says to the girl, "I'm glad you're dating such a big spender. He cannot even afford to tip." How do you think that's going to go further down the line in your relationship? She's just kind of baffled. I'm just kind of baffled. And at that point I just decided it was best to ignore the dude and go sit down. So I shrug it off with a whatever. After a bit of an awkward sit, our food comes up. So I go up to get it and decide to just get it to go. We grab our drinks and our burritos and walk out of there while the guy gives me dirty looks and keeps calling me big spender, only to sit down on a bench near the restaurant and find our orders are completely ducked up and nothing near what we ordered at all, as well as the drinks only being filled halfway. I'm normally not that picky and would have just said duck it and eaten it and wrote it off as more trouble than it was worth to fix the order. But I'm here with a girl and did not want to look like a pussy. We take our food into the restaurant, where I explain to the guy that our order is messed up and our drinks are only half full. He says, "Oh, complaining about your order and cold not even be bothered to tip? Now you're putting me through all this trouble and cannot be bothered to tip." And just keeps rambling on with malarkey like that while a line forms behind us and he finally goes to fill up our drinks. He comes back and says whoops before he pretends to trip and sends our drinks flying all over me and the girl I'm with. I demand to speak to his manager and he immediately stops playing his little game, saying malarkey like that he realizes he was being an ass before, but that he really did trip, and malarkey like that. Basically saying anything to beg us not to talk to his manager and even offers us our money back on the order. But I refuse and keep demanding to talk to his manager until the cook in the back finally hears what's going on and goes to get him. The manager comes out. The girl I'm with and I both explain what happened. And the kid keeps babbling that it was an accident. The manager takes me and the girl I'm with him back to get us cleaned up and, after that's done, invites us to watch the CCTV footage of what happened along with the kid who spilled malarkey all over us. The kid clearly trips on nothing and deliberately sends the drinks flying onto us. The manager fires the kid on the spot explains to us he had only hired him on for the summer since he was a longtime friend's son and that the kid had been acting like a total ass the entire time he was employed. But the manager regrettably turned the other cheek since it was his friend's son. The manager was a really nice guy and paid for our meal as well as gave us a card each that gave us 10 free meals at his restaurant. He even went in the kitchen and cooked our orders himself, gave us them in to-go bags, and paid for a cab we had walked to take us back to my place so we would not have to walk home in sticky clothes. To sum it up, kid is a dick because I did not tip him, deliberately spills sodas on me and the girl I was pseudo dating, then gets fired and the manager does an awesome job of making it up to us. If you are reading this, you made it until the end of the video. There is no more after this. Click the thumbs up button since you liked the video because you made it until the end. On screen there should be some more videos similar to this. So either go do something else or watch another video. That's it. I do not know why you are still here. What are you waiting for, a secret message or something? Okay. Are you ready?